There was a time when buying a video game meant buying a finished product. You walked into a store, bought a physical disc, brought it home, and played a complete experience from start to finish. If a game had major bugs, the studio had to fix them before burning the disc. Today, the entire PC gaming space is dominated by early access. On paper, the early access model sounds like a great deal for everyone. Independent studios can get direct funding from players while building a passion project. But in reality, it has turned into a permanent shield for selling broken, unfinished software. We have basically become unpaid quality assurance testers. Studios charge full price for unstable builds, placeholder menus, and missing core mechanics. Whenever players bring up obvious technical flaws or terrible optimization, the response is always the same. People tell you to stop complaining because the game is still in alpha. The moment a studio charges you $30, $40, or $70, that product is on the open market. Hiding behind an early access banner for years while charging real money is just bad business. It creates a culture where developers push out half-baked code and expect paying customers to diagnose crash logs and submit bug tickets for free. I have spent years playing tactical shooters in early access, and the inconsistency is infuriating. Take Ready or Not as a prime example. I have been playing that game since its earliest alpha stages. It has been a massive roller coaster of updates, promises, and broken patches. At times, the enemy artificial intelligence felt decent and responsive. Then a major update would drop, and the bot behavior would completely break. Suddenly, suspects were tracking you through solid concrete walls. They were snapshotting you through tiny door cracks with zero reaction time. You would spend 6 months waiting for a patch, only to watch basic tactical combat regress into a frustrating mess. Now Ready or Not is finally in a decent state mechanically. The SWAT AI is usable and the gunplay feels solid. However, the developers made a decision that I absolutely hate. To push the game onto consoles, they forced content censorship onto the PC version. They toned down graphic environmental elements and altered missions just to satisfy console platform certification. PC players supported this game for years with their money and feedback during its roughest early access phase. Sanitizing the game's gritty vision for console money feels like a slap in the face to everyone who backed it from day one. Then you have games like Ground Branch. I bought Ground Branch hoping for a methodical, slow-paced tactical experience. I had to refund it almost immediately because the enemy AI was horrible. Even after years of development and recent major updates, the bot logic in Ground Branch still feels completely broken. The enemies either stand around like wooden targets or instantly headshot you from across the map through heavy foliage. It is wild to realize that SWAT 4, a game from over 20 years ago, still has vastly superior AI logic. In SWAT 4, suspects panicked, shouted, dropped their weapons, faked compliance, and reacted realistically to flashbangs. Modern studios have infinite computing power, yet they struggle to program basic room clearing awareness. Ground Branch is far from the only shooter stuck in this slow development trap. Look at Zero Hour. It had a great concept of room clearing and night vision in urban settings, but years later, stiff animations, clunky gunplay, and erratic AI never got solved, and the active player base completely vanished. Look at Due Process. It had an incredible tactical planning phase and procedural maps, but slow updates and netcode problems killed the momentum, turning it into a ghost town outside of private community Discord nights. Then you have Freeman, Guerrilla Warfare. The developers kept changing core systems instead of polishing what worked, rushed out a broken 1.0 release, and then simply abandoned the project entirely. And of course, we cannot talk about early access garbage without mentioning the day before. That game was marketed for years as a groundbreaking open-world survival MMO. It was one of the most wishlisted games on Steam. When it finally launched into early access, it was an absolute disaster. It was a broken, hollow asset flip. With none of the advertised mechanics, the studio shut down within 4 days. The game was deleted from Steam and everyone got refunded. That is the absolute worst case scenario of early access being weaponized as a cynical cash grab. Yet when a development team actually respects the player base, early access can create absolute masterpieces. Look at Project Zomboid. That game has been in development for over a decade, but the developers never lied to their audience. And every massive update adds incredible simulation depth to the world. Look at 7 Days to Die. It spent over 10 years in alpha, but it constantly evolved and kept a huge dedicated community throughout its entire journey. Look at Valheim. It gave players a rock-solid, fully playable foundation on day one, and each major update expanded that core loop without breaking the game. In the tactical shooter space, Incursion Red River is easily one of my favorite early access games right now. The developers understand their scope and they respect the player. They did not launch with 20 half baked maps and empty promises. They have a small selection of maps, but those maps are high quality, detailed, and fun to play. The weapon handling has genuine mechanical weight, the atmosphere is intense, and the bot AI gets noticeably better with each update. They are focused on delivering a tight functional loop instead of selling hype on an unachievable roadmap. That exact respect for player autonomy is why single player Tarkov has completely taken over my gaming routine. Escape from Tarkov has phenomenal weapon audio, ballistics, and tactical depth. But playing on live public servers is a miserable experience full of desync, cheaters, and extreme grind. Single player Tarkov fixes the entire game for me. It cuts out the toxic matchmaking and server latency entirely. You get the deep inventory management, tactical tension, and realistic firefights, but you play on your own terms. You can pause the game whenever you need to. You can adjust the bot difficulty and progression to fit your personal schedule after a long workday. It transforms an exhausting live service grind into a genuinely enjoyable tactical experience. The early access tag was never supposed to be an endless shield against criticism. A roadmap is not a replacement for good game design. If a studio asks for your hard earned money today, they owe you a game that is fun to play today. We need to stop accepting broken builds and empty apologies as standard industry practice. Stop buying into marketing hype and unfinished promises. Support the developers and modding projects that actually value your time and deliver real craftsmanship. At the end of the day, our relationship with video games needs a serious reset. We have to stop rewarding companies for giving us blueprints instead of finished buildings. When you buy a game, you are a customer paying for entertainment, not an investor taking on development risk. If a studio wants our money upfront, the core loop needs to function on day one. The movement needs to feel right, the enemy AI needs basic logic, and the game should run smoothly without crashing to desktop every 20 minutes. We need to vote with our wallets and our time. Stop pre-ordering expensive deluxe editions that promise early access to beta tests. Stop defending broken launches just because a fancy roadmap promises fixes 8 months down the line. Let games prove themselves first. Go back to older classics that still deliver incredible gameplay. Support small indie teams that push out polished, honest projects. Play community mods that actually fix what massive publishers abandoned. Your free time in the evening is limited and valuable. Do not waste it debugging someone else's unfinished product. Demand real polish, support true craftsmanship, and play games that respect you from the very first minute.